The DS64 version 2 is one of the most sought after grinders on the market today. However, it's from a company that's based in China. And isn't China making crap quality products? And doesn't China make bad quality products? So stay to the end of the video to tell you my overall thoughts. Let's check it out. G'day mate, my name's Ryde, your coffee coach. Today I want to share my thoughts on the DS64 grinder from Turin, which is one of the most interesting and unique grinders. Turin have kind of taken over the specialty espresso market in terms of their grinders. They have them at different sizes. There's 64mm, there's 54, 83. It's all different size burrs, and they all have a similar aesthetic, similar look to it. They might not be the most attractive grinders on the market. I certainly think the Timor is a little bit more nice looking, but these are solid machines. This is a huge weight. Like the motor inside this, it's a 250 watt motor, 64mm burrs. These have been upgraded with the SSPs. One of the first things I noticed about this grinder is how solidly it is built. I mean, it weighs, it's about 7 kilos just in that size itself. Everything is solid. There's a few plastic parts, but everything is aluminium here, stainless steel. Everything feels quality on it. Even the bellows, the silicone of the bellows is nice thick, timber cap for it as well. Everything has a premium feel quality to it. The other thing that I absolutely loved is how easy it is to adjust the grinds. Simply by just turning, swivel, the whole top rotates. And this also is how you undo it and replace the burrs or clean out your burrs as well. And inside is a nice big 250 watt motor. It packs a lot of kick. It's already set. It's not a variable speed motor. It's already set to 1400 RPM. It's so easy to adjust the burrs as well. Everything just feels really smooth about the whole design of it. I'm going to show you how good this grinder is. It does kick a lot. Like, it's got a lot of power behind it. It is a loud grinder. I was actually surprised at how loud it was. Sitting on the bench top, it reverberates a lot. And I was making coffee at home. No one was up yet. And it managed to wake them up. So if you're in a quiet, small household, you need to keep the sound volume low, then this might not be the grinder for you. It is pretty loud. One of my customers lent this to me, and as a thank you to Dane, I'm going to actually give you some North Pole blend, which I've just started tweaking, and it's really lovely. It's like Christmas pudding, custard, a little bit of cinnamon in there. I've got this amazing Costa Rican coffee in there, which has just got a little bit of spice to it. So it just brings through with that fruit, that pudding flavor. You absolutely love this, especially on this grinder. Works well across coffees that are black and with milk. And if you live in the Brisbane local area, and you want to lend me a machine or a grinder or some coffee device for me to review, then I will reward you with some coffees as well. So pop a comment in the section below, give it a like, give it a thumbs up if you enjoy these videos too. And we're going to make a coffee on here because you can't talk about a grinder without making a coffee on it. But I want to share with you just how easy it is to use this grinder. So we're going to pop some beans in. So just pop in there. I'm going to do 15 grams, sorry, I'm just going to do 18 grams, pop some beans in there. You'll see how good this grinder is. You pop the beans in the top. I love the bellows. They're one of the greatest things about this grinder, and I'm going to show you up close, is how consistent the grind is and how it has an anti-static plasma generator inside the chute here. So it actually generates a bit of plasma to take care of that static, and it is, they turn the button on the side. Look at that, no mess. So then tapping with the bellows blows all of that excess fines out. And if you can see this, I'm just going to tip it out onto the table here. You can see how good that grind is. Have a look at how nice that grind is. It is so smooth, powdery, and that's at really fine speed. So normally there's a lot of clumping there. That's not clumping much at all. So what I love about it is that there's just very little retention in there. You're not going to get massive amounts of retention. I've weighed it. It's about 0.1. Sometimes there's no loss at all. It makes me really wonder, like some of these other grinders that are losing heaps of grind in the retention, what they're doing wrong, because this is a simple design. Obviously the chute straight there, straight in, on an angle to help just push those grinds forward. And the grind adjuster is actually awesome because the whole collar just rotates around. And you've got in there, you can even see there, it says espresso, mocha pot, filter, right up there. Also, in terms of cleaning it, it's super easy because all you need to do is just undo this the indicator for your grind size. You keep turning that around, this just pops straight off. So if you want to clean your grinds, and then you can dust all your grinds there. And then when you're replacing them, you just got to make sure these parts are nice and flat. Those rubber inserts there, presses in, just make sure it gets it all nice and done. You just pop that back on top, rotate it clockwise, and the collar just threads itself back on. Super easy, nice and tight. Pop the indicator on there, and then that just tightens up there. You can set that to your 0 point, and then you just adjust it to wherever you want it to be. Super easy to keep tidy. Actually, one of the biggest features that I love about this grinder, which I don't have with many other grinders, is the cleanliness. I don't know if it's the anti-static technology inside the chute here, but there is no mess. I mean, short of when you press that through and a couple of the bits of fines go over the edge, other than that tiny little bit there is no mess. Now, on my Timor, it goes straight down and it will spray out. And even though it has a fines collector in there, it still sprays out. You lose a little bit of the grinds around the side, just it sprays out over the edge of the receptacle. However, with the DF64, there's virtually no mess. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, there's a tiny bit of fines there that you can see there from when I press the bellows. But other than that, there is no mess. The way that it's designed goes straight into your receptacle and does not spray out at all. And these grinds are just so perfect. I haven't measured the exact particle sizes, but they feel very consistent. And certainly at the filter size, you can see that they're very, very consistent. As you can see, it's super quick and easy to grind as well. Yes, it is a single doser, and a lot of people don't want single doses, but if you're prepared, it will hold 50 grams in there. So that's 2 shots at least, maybe even 3, depending on what dose you do. And if you're doing filter coffees, the collar adjustment also means that you can easily adjust it one-handed. Some of the grinders you have to do press a button down to then unlock the collar to then rotate it. Yes, I guess that makes it a little bit more of a problem in terms of if you knock it or anything. But with the indicator as well, I really like this because it shows you exactly what number you're on. That just helps cement when you're going back to make other coffees down the track, or if you did accidentally knock it or something like that, you would know, oh yeah, I had it set somewhere between 12 and 13. So I'm gonna hone into there to start with, and then you can always adjust it from there. But that just really made it super easy to remember. In fact, it just brought my attention to the number rather than on my Timor, which has no numbers. You just turn it and yours often has to guess there. And sometimes you forget, because I'm playing with lots of different coffees, which one I had set to which exact point. Whereas this just feels like it's one more way to remember. And that's a really small perk. I love the grinds receptacle, the doser, because it has a nice rim on it to allow it to just get straight onto the portafilter, knock out all those grinds there. Whereas the Timor one doesn't have that, and that just is one of those annoying things you have to get in on the side. I actually really love the design of this. It's super solid as well. It's got some rubber base there, and it just fits nicely in there, and it holds together quite well. Like, this is a very sturdy cradle for your receptacle. Just the way that they've thought through everything. It's a very simple grinder, but everything is built solidly. It'll be interesting. They are relatively new now. It's like they're still only a couple of years old. It'll be interesting to see how long they last. However, I have a feeling that these grinders are built superbly, and I'm not an engineer, I'm not a technician, I'm not going to take it apart and check out the internals. However, I can tell you that from using it, there was no part of me that felt like this was a flimsy make. And yes, China doesn't have the greatest reputation in terms of its manufacturing all the time, but this particular machine is very well built. And I think this grinder is going to last you years and years and years. Now, wouldn't be a review without tasting some of the coffee. So we're going to get some coffees and I'm going to make it through and I'm going to compare it. And as an added bonus, I'm just going to look at the extractions compared to my EK43, which is obviously sets the bar as the best single dose grinder out there, even though it's not really designed for that. But the flavors you get from your EK43 are nice and clean. And I want to test it just to see if I can notice any difference between these and that. And then I'll use a refractometer and measure the actual data behind those two extractions. So let's check it out. So it was super interesting. I did the same recipe and I used an automated one so that there was zero chance that I could influence a particular flavor. Same recipe on exactly the same ones. The only thing that could be affected by me is what size grinds I decided to go on. So this was based on me. It's not a perfect scientific experiment, of course, but I did get some great results. And I really think, even though I still slightly prefer the EK43, but it's so minimal for $500 US versus, what is the EK43? $2,000 US, something like that, $2,500. The DF64 stood its own, and if I was to buy another machine, especially for home, I would choose the DF64 over the EK43, unless you're doing a lot of cupping and you really want to get just that extra little bit of clarity out of each cup. If you're not at that level and you're more just using it for home, or you're making espresso on it, or making it with milk coffees, this grinder is going to do you wonders. Now, it comes standard with the DLC burrs, but you can swap them out for SSPs, and that's what Dane's done in this case. And that definitely brings a lot more clarity to your cup. If you're doing filter brews or you're doing filter and espresso, the SSPs are great for that. They both work wonders. You can even just use the standard burrs in there and you're still gonna get a fantastic cup. It has 90 steps on it, but obviously it's a stepless grinder, which means that number is infinitely more. It's just that it goes round from espresso to mocha to filter, and there's a lot that you can actually play with in between that. I guess if I had to nitpick on a few things, sometimes I've noticed that the aggressiveness of this motor, of this beast, can actually vibrate this out. Now, there has rubber stoppers on here, so it shouldn't do that, but I have noticed, even, you can just see it turning on there, how much it just slightly moves, and over time that does slide out. So you do have to just be a little bit careful to pop it in. Again, I am nitpicking here because people want to know what I don't like about it. There's not really anything I don't like about it. I think I love everything about it. Yes, it is bulky. It's probably not as beautiful as the Timor, especially in the white versus the black, but it's actually a nice size. This is something that you could use in the small cafe as well, just to do some single dosing if you need to do your filters. But yeah, zero retention. I just love the fact that there's zero retention in here. It's fantastic in that respect. So anyway, there's my quick review. As I said, I've only had it for a week, but I've made a fair few coffees on it, both for black coffees, milk coffees, filter coffees, cold brews, all sorts of different coffees on it, comparing it with my Timor, with the EK, with the Mythos. So I've done a lot of experimenting in that short time. So I feel like I've done it fairly good justice. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you. Pop a comment in the section below. But I'm Ryde, your coffee coach, and as always, enjoy your brew.